So I'm in the administrator area of STEARsoft, and I'm now preparing my classes for the next year. So we've got to the end of one school year. It's beginning September in the UK, and I'm going up to the next year. So there's a couple of things, well, there's a few things. The first thing that's worth doing is checking that you've got the school year end date set up correctly. Now, just suddenly changing this can cause some issues, but it's worth checking that you've got it correctly done. So that looks good. That means everyone automatically promoted up a year on August the 1st. So now it's September, everyone's going to be in the new years. So the next thing to check, or the next thing to do, is then to add in the new students. Okay, so I'm going to go to my central student list, and I'm going to add some students and copy in just as we did when we set up STEARsoft in the first place. So there's tutorials to show this, and it should be fairly intuitive to add your new students coming into year reception or year 1 or year 7 or whatever it might be for your school. Okay, so add your students into the central student list and check that the end of year date is sensible. Okay, we're then going to go into each teacher account, and remember STEARsoft is teacher centric, so the first thing will be go into all the teacher accounts and change the names of the current classes so they're clearly tagged as old. We could delete them, but we probably want to keep the data for a little bit at least, and I'll talk about deleting at the end. So I've already done it for 1 and 2 and Form 5, so I'm going to just finish it off with number 3, and then I'm going to do the next bit here as well. So to go in as a teacher, we pretend to set the password for them, but we don't need to set their own password and then use that. We can just log in as this teacher, and it skips that, and in we go. So continue to this. So 2H is the class that was taught last year. If I go to the details, you can see it's now promoted up to year 3, and if I look at the students, all the students there are now year 3 students. So this is last year's class. So I'm going to go to 2H, I'm going to go to the class details, and I'm going to change its name to 2H 2019 so that I can see when referring to it that it's the old class and not the new one. Okay, I'm then going to create a new class. So add new class. I'm going to create this year's 2H. I could call it 2H 2020, but I'll just call it 2H. I'll know that ones that haven't got 2020 on are the new ones. To be sure, you could put the 2020. Anyway, it's this year's year group 2, and it's a priority class because it's going to be morning and afternoon registration. So let's add that class. And I'm going to then add students to it. Now, the students in this year's year 2 were last year's year 1. So, current year 2, it's realised that those students are the ones that were in 1F from 2019. So, you can just select the appropriate class. I've only got one here because it's a simple school. Import that, tick all the students, and there we go, done. So 2H, the new 2H, has got the 30 students. If new students have come into the school, then you might need to go to class details and add those new students. And you might want to select from the central list, year 2. And if you know which student it is, you could tick it, or you could just tick the whole lot again, and it won't overwrite, it will just update any information. So I could do that as well. Right, so I've got my timetable, which is still showing the old 2H. I want the new 2H now, so I need to go to timetable on the left, and then I get the opportunity to edit my timetable. So this bit's a little bit tedious. So we need to change all these to the new 2H rather than the old one. You can do this in the iPad or iPhone app as well. And let's save those changes. Right, and now I want to create registers, and it prompts me to do that. If I show the details, it's going to use, it's going to use my timetable So even though that's ticked, it's only going to do 2H. All terms, that's fine. I've added autumn 2020 from today onwards without overwriting. So let's just create that now. Continue to the home page. And there we go. I've got registers set up for the whole term, ready to go. Okay. Maybe Matthew was absent this morning, and that's sorted. Okay. So that's it, really. I've checked the date of the end of the year. I've added new students centrally, and then to each teacher login, I first of all went through all of them and changed all the existing classes with a 2019 so I could see that they were old. And then I've started to go through each one, add a new class, import from the appropriate one, adding the new students and changing the timetable as well. Okay. I did say I'd talk about deleting. So you'll get to a point eventually where you'll want to delete some data. You can do that on a teacher by teacher basis. The current classes that are in the timetable are here. You don't want to be deleting those, but you could delete the old ones. And if you get a list after a bit, you could tick the ones you want to delete and delete it. That's probably the safest way of doing it. There are some mass delete options in the admin area, but I'll save that for a different tutorial. Thank you for listening. Hope that was useful.